Hello DC Deck Builders. We are at the beginning of a new season, and with that comes the tier changes. Of course, there's changes to the bans and unbans for the main deck. We're not going to go into too much depth with that. A couple of quick notes on it. We did lose 9 defenses, so that's going to be a little under 10% of the defenses in the deck. That should change things a little bit. And we also, the deck is 16 less cards in it than it had last season, and it has 1 more location than it did last season. I expect that to be helpful to Swamp Thing players. He had a pretty strong season last season, and he's only getting better here. So that's pretty exciting. With that said, before we go into the main character changes, though, we do have to touch on a quick rule change. That change is with the kick stack. In the past, you could buy as many kicks as you wanted. If you had 6 power, sometimes the best play is to buy 2 kicks. Now you can only buy 1 kick per turn, so your 6 power might be a 5 cost. If you're getting 1 VP one way or another, I'm interested to see how that affects gameplay. I'm a little bit worried for kick turbo teams. Alan Scott Beast Boy is going to be hit by this. And a couple of other teams aren't going to be ecstatic. So with that out of the way, let's move into the main characters. So with the main characters moving up this season, we have Arsenal, Black Manta, Brainiac 5, and Teen Titans Go Starfire. I'm not super surprised that Black Manta has moved up from a 1 to a 2. He was pretty definitively the go-to one for 1-2-3 combos. My personal strategy in the last 2-3 seasons has been to just take Black Manta as the 1 and then see what the rest of the table's doing and build a team around that. He's a good enough 1 where you can have a 5 tier point team and just add in his ramp. So I definitely understand that change. Starfire has been the central point, I want to say, of 2 really strong Calabac teams. I think they're taking Starfire up to a 2 to get rid of Double Destroy Calabac, and Starfire Black Lightning Calabac was also very strong last season, so I definitely understand it. And then Brainiac 5, he wasn't incredibly strong last season, and by that I mean he wasn't played too often. It was pretty common that the games he did play in, he did very well in though, so I do get where they're coming from here. I don't think I would have moved him to a 3 if it were my decision, but I understand why they did it. And then as far as Arsenal going to a 3 goes, I definitely understand that decision. He was the most played character last season, and he was very strong while doing so. Generally speaking, if a character is too strong, he gets played very, very frequently, and to such a point that his average score will go down by people trying to push him through with teams that he's just not great in. If you look at his best teams, Arsenal really blew things out of the water. Arsenal Black Manta Trickster is now dead, which was a fantastic team. It's also worth mentioning we're probably not going to see a whole lot more Arsenal play going forward due to this. He was a very, very strong 2, and he's a pretty mediocre 3. With that said, let's go to the main characters who have dropped. That is limited to Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate has been a 4 for as long as I have been playing. He is finally a 3 now. He did not see much play as a 4. I fully expect him to be a central point in a lot of 3-3 teams. He is very strong on his own. He has a certain inherent value that just really works for him. So I think we're going to see teams like Cyborg, which is very similar to that in the sense that it's not so much that the synergy is strong, but there's just a lot of inherent value going on. I expect to see Animal Man Dr. Fate, Cyborg Dr. Fate. Arsenal Dr. Fate did see a little bit of play last season, so that team is still alive if you were interested in it. I just fully expect to see Dr. Fate played quite frequently this season. I'm pretty excited because 3-3 teams have been suffering lately. There just haven't been a lot of good ones. So before we move forward on more main characters that are being added in, I haven't mentioned it so far in the video, Rebirth is being added in. There are 5 of the 8 characters that have been determined that can be included, which means we have a set that breaks that mold that we've had, where either a set is in or the set is out. With that said, that means we can actually ban Poison Ivy. It's been talked about for quite a while about banning Poison Ivy, but nothing's broken that mold that determines that we either ban a set or we ban a card. In this case, there are 3 cards of this set that's unplayable, but we still wanted to add the set into the cube. We didn't want to have a $50 game be 16 main deck cards and not have any of the MCs. So we brought in 5 of those main characters, and we've broken the mold to ban Poison Ivy. So let's get into those 5 characters. The first one we have is Aquaman. He is a very strong main character here. His text reads, each time you play a superpower during your turn, target player may put a card with cost 4 or less from their discard pile on the bottom of their deck. That reads, where you see target player, obviously that's always yourself. I believe that rule came last season or the season prior. I'm not positive which one. So it's each time you play a superpower, put a card 4 or less from your discard pile on the bottom of your deck. This is the main reason that I wanted to go over the kick change first. I think he would have been fantastic in a kick turbo team. I would have been ecstatic to see a team where you just buy 11 kicks and then play them every single turn. That would have been a very strong team. It's also worth mentioning he has a certain amount of synergy with defenses. If you're in a situation to buy the supervillain and you bottom deck a defense that's cost 4 or less, like most of them are, you've essentially stacked yourself to be ready for that, where a lot of other teams cannot do that. I'm pretty excited to see what comes with him. I expect he might be one of the few main characters that gets a 1-2-3 team in this season. Nightwing, Power Girl, or Manhattan and Aquaman could be a really strong team. Aquaman and Aquaman could also be a really strong team. Just have full control over your deck at all times and never shuffle again. I'm just interested to see what happens going forward here. I think it could be pretty strong. The next main character that we have is Batman. Each time you avoid an attack or defeat a villain, target player reveals the top card of their deck and may destroy it. Again, target player is always yourself. And defeat a villain was ruled to be buy or gain a villain from the lineup or the supervillain stack. With that ruling in mind, I imagine that'll be played pretty frequently with Wonder Woman. I'd like to think Wonder Woman and Comedian would be a really strong team with him, or perhaps Stargirl to focus on the defense aspect of it. Either way, I think he's going to be an interesting main character to play with. I look forward to seeing how he does this upcoming season. After Batman, we have Cyborg. Unfortunately, he's just Teen Titans Go Cyborg, but worse. Teen Titans Go Cyborg reads control, he reads play, and Teen Titans Go Cyborg never sees play, so I don't expect him to either. Not a whole lot more to say on this one. After him is Simon Baz. During each of your turns, if you play 3 or more different card types, draw a card. Rest doesn't matter, because there's no board to move with. So I fully expect Simon Baz to be played frequently. I just don't know what teams he'll be played with. He's a pretty strong character. The concept is, at least, I think I might see Simon Baz and Aquaman, or Simon Baz and Black Manta might even work. I'm not sure what's going to be paired with him, but I know he'll see play. If he doesn't, I don't know, come back and tell me. He's going to see something, I just don't know what it is. After Simon Baz, we have Wonder Woman, who is now the worst tier 1. Technically playable, there's nothing that says you can't play Wonder Woman, but there's, 6, 7 assist cards in the main deck. You're never, ever going to proc Wonder Woman. People have jokingly said we should have tier 0s, and I think Wonder Woman sets that mold. That sets the precedent. I think Wonder Woman is the first main character that could actually be tier 0. She doesn't do anything. Technically playable though, so not banned. Alright, so that's it for the changes this season. I hope you guys are as excited for these changes as I am. If you haven't already, don't forget to check out dcdeckbuilding.com and join us in the Discord.